I'll just move on and talk about that later. Bill Gates. The future financial transactions will be digital, universal, and almost free. Richard Branson. It feels strange to think of a world without cash, no more notes or coins to find down the back of a sofa, but it appears that's the way things are heading. And both of those quotes are a couple of years old, as a matter of fact. They're both heavily involved in cryptocurrency. Richard Branson bought a Boeing plane here probably 2 years ago with Bitcoin. Had it all transferred in Bitcoin, saved on transaction fees from the bank, and fees to ship money, send money internationally, and he saved hundreds of thousands of dollars just on one plane just by using Bitcoin. So we talk about 7 disruptions. There's a friend of mine who wrote a book called The 7th Disruptions, and matter of fact, I helped him edit that book a little bit. But we're going to key in on the last one, but just to give you an idea, just to think about it. I'm not even this old. Back when TVs came out and revolutionized home entertainment, and of course that disrupted going to theater and all sorts of other social functions that happened in the community. So then we move forward through all of these here, and we get into the 7th disruption, and really in technology, what has not been disrupted in technology, and that is the banking sector. So they are ripe for technology because nothing's changed in banking and how banking is done in the last 120 years. So there's an evolution going on. You're aware of this, so I'll just touch base on it. We went from postal mail to email, multiple email addresses. We went from cassettes and CDs to MP3 players and VHS and DVD to Netflix. Phone book. When's the last time you've seen a phone book? Everything's on Google. The good and bad and different of Google. People, and I will say that people think sometimes that what you find on Google is you should take to the bank, but Google is just a search engine. Social life, social media. There used to be MySpace. That evolved. I mean, so the technologies are a lot of technologies and don't have longevity. So the world is changing. We're moving into a direct sharing economy. I don't know if you've heard that term. It really is a big. It's a term that's being used more and more, and it really is going to lead in some other things we're talking about. So, Airbnb and Uber. Who's familiar with Airbnb and Uber? Who's used Uber? Who's used Airbnb? Good. Few of you have. So how many cars does Uber own? Anybody know? Correct. How many hotel rooms does Airbnb own? So it's really interesting how you can upset a mindset or technology or in this case, a breakthrough of something that is turned something like taxis upside down. Who would have ever thought that we'd come to a time like this? It really is amazing that we have this kind of options and opportunities to. So the direct sharing economy is really leads us into cryptocurrency too. So what is Bitcoin? So Bitcoin, as I'd mentioned, it's written by it was an algorithm that was written. Back in 2008, 21 million coins, 16 million have been mined, but it's paved the way for a lot of other cryptocurrencies too. Initially, as it was gaining some momentum, and it was the miners that were bringing it to the forefront, because at one time you could mine bitcoins on a laptop and do it all day long. Today, you need mining farms bigger than this room to mine Bitcoin. That's where we're at because of the algorithms are getting tougher, and you got to find a place that's got a lot of, and you can invest in these things if you so choose. But you got to get in a place where the weather is cool, and computers, electricity is cheaper. So, and there's different places in the United States where people are doing it. Oregon, it seems to be a really good hot spot for mining. In China, there's all sorts of farms. And China, by the way, China gets this thing. They're big into cryptocurrency, big into Bitcoin. Bitcoin transactions. So let's see here. This is the new slide that we put in here today.
The question came up, well, what does a transaction look like? So essentially what this is showing is in order for somebody to give some Bitcoin over from one person to another, this is just kind of showing the process. You know, it deals with keys and QR codes and hashtags and, you know, to really make a long story short, the whole process, unlike the banking system, or if I want to give Keith some money even through like PayPal, that takes about 3 days to settle. This entire process from start to finish could take as little as 10 minutes. So Keith, you mentioned how the Chinese are really big to this, and you know we'll get into to the ATM machine. But you know I know that a lot of students, I think maybe you or John were telling me this, that a lot of students will, at the University of Illinois from China, in order their parents will send them money through Bitcoin and they'll turn it into dollars. So that process can take as little as 10 minutes. But you know this is it in a nutshell. I know that's probably hard to read, but I'm going to provide Dr. Wahby with the slides so you guys.
So there's different ways to get into Bitcoin. One way is to have wallet, have an e-wallet. I have 3 different kinds of wallets that I have on my phone. One way, a popular way to get into Bitcoin and a wallet is called Coinbase. So you can download the app. You can move money from your bank account into Coinbase. You can let it sit there, or you can move it over back and forth to Bitcoin. You also can do Ether, which is Ethereum, and you can do it, and you can use it as a exchange if you want to speculate, or you can use it as your e-wallet and make purchases. Now, a lot of the purchases are done online. There's not a whole lot of physical stores that you can do it, and there's only one in Champaign that I know that will take Bitcoin, but there's thousands and thousands of opportunities to spend Bitcoin online. So you know, the coin was set up, cryptocurrency is set up for online transactions because we're going into the internet of everything. You're going to see refrigerators communicating with stores. So at some point, people are going to have the opportunity, and they're doing it right now. So the refrigerator knows what you're out of. It places an order. The store software takes money or cryptocurrency, whatever form that you've set up, out of your wallet, and you get a delivery of fruits and vegetables, whatever, from that store. So, and there's different kinds of wallets too, depending on what you want to do. But there's a lot of people that have gotten into it. There's millions of people that are using Bitcoin right now. There's a lot of people that are disruptors, and a term that's getting to be used within that circle is anarchists. So we're all kind of an anarchist in some form or fashion that at this point until it becomes even more mainstream. If you've seen some of the protests going on in some of the countries on the eastern blocks of the planet, and even like Egypt and different places, a lot of times there's different signs up, and they've got a QR code up there, and you can take the QR reader off of your app, and you can actually donate $20 worth of Bitcoin, or whatever you so choose to donate. So it's really interesting how the world's getting smaller. And there's one guy who had a football game, said, "Mom, send Bitcoin." Had a QR code on the big sign up there, and by the end of that game, they had collected $22,000 worth of Bitcoin. So you know it's kind of interesting, you know, the world that we live in. Second one is 2 Papa John pizzas were bought for 10,000 Bitcoin, and the person that delivered it took it, and at today's rate, if that person held on to them, or Papa John's, wherever they went, that would be worth about $11 million right now. So the price of surge has gone up over $1,200. It just recently went over the price of gold here in March, up in the $1,300 range. Different facts about Bitcoin, not to get into too many of these here. Again, I'm just trying to give you an overview. You know, the whole wallet thing is something that's kind of maybe more near and dear to me because, and I guess it really kind of leads me a little bit more into what the blockchain is. So and again, there's a Bitcoin ATM in Champaign. It's not a two-way ATM. It's a one-way. So if you want, you can buy Bitcoin by putting dollars into it. There are different machines in different parts of the country. I think there's about 20 of them in Chicago that you can do a two-way transaction on them. But again, a lot of the companies that are taking cryptocurrency taking Bitcoin online. Some of the subways are taking them. Banks are getting into it. You know, they don't want to be left behind in the technology. Bank of America's got over 20 patents already. So, but somehow or another, they've got to pay for those banks. They've got to pay for those ivory towers. They're going to have transaction fees. Well, yeah, interesting point. I talked to a fair amount of people in the banking industry. A lot of the executives know what's going on, but they're keeping everybody else in the dark because I think I mentioned in the next 7 years, 70% of employees will be gone out of banks. There won't be a need for employees, so they're not educating their employees on what the blockchain is or what cryptocurrency is. So they're going to be left in the dark. So I talk to them, I deal with them. I still have to deal with banks. I hate to admit it, but I do. I do everything I can not to. They've taken enough of my money through the years. But cryptocurrency is going to revolutionize money. One thing that's near and dear to my heart is the fact that people that do not have money tend to be paying most of the fees. If you're familiar with Western Union, MoneyGram, and by the way, MoneyGram was just bought out by Alibaba, so they're going to get into the cryptocurrency game here shortly. But as you can see, up there, 7 or 30% are charged in transaction fees, and if you get in some of these third world countries, the fees are even higher when you got money handlers that are moving money for farmers and people. So what this does, it gives a chance for people that are unbanked to have access to money, because it's been proven that people that have access to money are safer and they are healthier. So think about that. And as we try to save the world and help people, 2 to 3 billion people on the planet don't have access to money. They have no credentials. They don't own land. They may be a squatter, or they may have a hut or something, and it's down the road behind a third oak tree, across the creek kind of thing. So this is going to give them a chance to have access to money. As a matter of fact, there's a new app that's I've been reading about it. It's called Humanic.co, HUMANIQ.co. It looks real promising. It's not using the Ethereum blockchain, and it's going to give, their goal is to give give the poor access to money, 2 to 3 billion people. So I really like that model. But also wealth preservation. People are getting into it because they don't trust the financial system. They don't trust the dollar. They don't trust the banks, or they don't trust the stock market. So again, I'm giving you just a broad picture of it. But the point is that a lot of money is getting into cryptocurrency and for wealth preservation.